Hi, welcome to my video on finding the maximum minimum values and domain and range of a sinusoidal function. From the graph of sine and cos, the maximum value is the highest y value on the curve. The minimum value is the lowest y value on the curve. So if you take this graph here, the maximum value is the highest one. The maximum value is 4. And the lowest one is -2. If you take this curve, the highest one is right here, and that's a 2. And the lowest one is right here, or here, is -2. So the max is the highest value on a curve, the min is the lowest value on a curve. But if we have an equation, which isn't written out in this form for sine or cos, the maximum value from equation is k plus the absolute value of a, because k is the sinusoidal axis, and you go up from there to get the max, or you get the min as the sinusoidal axis, the value of k minus the absolute value. So the absolute value of a says that a is going to be added on positive, so you k plus that number, k minus that number. Let's work out a few maximum minimum values from an equation. In this equation, the k is right here, as you can see like that. K is the number on the end. I'm going to solve for y, so k is 3, and a is the first number, a is 2. So the maximum is k plus the absolute value of a. So it's k plus the absolute value of 2. So it's k. K is, just put the 3 in, make it look good. So it's 3 plus 2 is 5. And the minimum value is k minus the absolute value of a. K is 3 minus the absolute value of 2, which is 2, 1. So the maximum value is 3 plus the 2 and 3 minus the 2. So 5 is the maximum and 1 is the minimum. And in this equation, so it makes no difference if it's sine or cos. The k is the number on the end, which is -1. The a is the number at the beginning, which is -5. So the maximum value is k plus the absolute value of a. K is -1 plus the absolute value of -5. The absolute value of -5 is 5. So -1 plus 5, the maximum value in this curve, if you draw it, will be a 4. And the minimum value is k minus the absolute value of a. So k is -1 minus the absolute value of -5. -1, subtract absolute value of -5 is 5. So we get -1 minus 5 is -6. So again, it's the sinusoidal axis, and so the sinusoidal axis is right here. It is in the middle. So -1, you go up 5, and -1, you go down 5. That's why we do the absolute value, because the absolute value is always positive. Now, also, let's look over, since we know how to find the domain and range, we know how to find the max and min values, the domain in an ordered pair. If we have an ordered pair x, y, the domain is the x, make that a d, and the range is the y. If we have a sinusoidal function, we have the theta and the y. So the domain is the degrees or radians, and the range is the y values. So in a sinusoidal function, the degrees is always belonging to the real numbers. So the sinusoidal function is theta belongs to the real numbers. So all the angles going to the right, or all the angles going to the left, or all the radians going to the right, or all the radians going to the left. The domain of a sinusoidal function is real numbers, all of them. but the range is the y values. And so how we write the y values down is the set of all y's such that we take the minimum value less than or equal to y less than or equal to the maximum value, and where y belongs to the reals. So the range is from the minimum up to the maximum, including, this is why the equal sign here is here and here, because it's including the minimum and the maximum and all the numbers in between. So, for example, if we had a maximum value of 4 and we had a minimum value of 1, then the range would be the set of all y such that 1 is less than or equal to y less than or equal to 4, where y belongs to the reals. So the range is the y values is between including the minimum and the maximum, and all numbers between the minimum and maximum. So I always start off by doing the minimum first, less than. So 1 is less than 4, and with the equal sign. So let's find the range of these questions. Find the range of each. So we look here, we have a 4, that's the max. And we look here, we have a min, the lowest value is 0. So we have a max of 4. So the range is a set of all y such that the minimum is 0, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 4, where y belongs to the reals. So it's the minimum, maximum, less than, equal to. And in number 2 we have an equation, and the equation we need the k, which is 5, and we need the a, which is -4. So the maximum value is k plus the absolute value of a. So k is 5 plus the absolute value of a -4. So it's 5 plus 4. The maximum is 9. And the minimum value is k minus the absolute value of a. So it's, I was going to put a k there. So it's 5, subtract the absolute value of -4. So it's 5, subtract 4, absolute value of -4 is 4. We have a 1. So the minimum value is 1. So the range is the y values such that 1 less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 9, where y belongs to the reals. So from the equation, if you take the maximum is 5, add on 4. Even though this is a cos graph, we always take this number, whatever it is, and add on this positive, whatever the positive of this. And the minimum is the 5, subtract whatever this is. But this is why we do the absolute value. So it's 5 go up 4, and it's 5 go down 4. Up. So you see why we do the absolute value, because we're going to add and subtract 4. Now we have the amplitude is 3 and the sinusoidal axis is y equals -2. So the amplitude is the a value, and the sinusoidal axis is the k value. So the maximum value is k plus the absolute value of a. So that's k plus the absolute value. K, I better put k in. K is, a couple of times I did that now, k is -2. Absolute value, so it's a -2 plus 3, so the maximum value is 1. And the minimum, M-I-N, minimum value is k minus the absolute value of a. So k is -2. Add on the absolute value of 3, -2 plus 3, so the minimum is 1. How could I have the minimum maximum same? Little error here. That's a minus, and that's a minus. So -2 minus 3 is -5. So the maximum is 1, minimum is -5. So the range is the set of all y, minimum, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 1, where y belong to the real numbers. And number 4, we have a minimum value and a sinusoidal. So the quickest way to do this, the smallest value is 2. The sinusoidal axis is in the middle. So that's 2. We're going up 4, so we go up 4 more. That's the max. So that's the max there. And this is the min. That's the quickest way to do it. That's the smallest number, and 6 is in the middle, 10 must be the max. So the range is the set of all y, such that minimum number is 2, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 10. And y belongs to the reals. Again, the maximum, the sinusoidal axis, or the axis of symmetry, is halfway between the maximum and the minimum. Okay, let's do a couple more questions here. Just find the minimum value if the maximum value is -1 and the sinusoidal axis is y equals -3. So if the maximum value is -1, the sinusoidal axis is -3, that's in the middle. So that's -1, -3, so there's two down, so this one must be -5. So it says find the minimum value. So the minimum value is the quick way to do it. There's your max, that's in the middle, this is here, so the minimum value is -5. Other than that, you could work it out, but it takes a little bit longer, is that the middle, the sinusoidal axis, is what we call the midpoint, or the middle number. Not a point, but it's the middle number. So it's the maximum value plus the minimum value. So we think of it as an average or a middle. So we won't say midpoint. Let's say the average. The average, the sinusoidal axis is in the middle. So the sinusoidal axis is -3. The maximum value is -1. Add on, we want the minimum value that we're going to work out, and we divide by 2. So put it over 1, cross multiply. -1 plus the minimum value, 1 times that, -1 plus the minimum equals -3 times 2 is -6. So the minimum value is -6 plus 1. So the minimum value is -5. So you go through all this work, but it's very quickly to do this, because the sinusoidal axis is in the middle, axis of symmetry. Number 2, find the equation of the sinusoidal axis. If the maximum value is 6, minimum value is -2. If the maximum value is 6 and the minimum value is -2, that's 8 units in between. So halfway, 4 units down and 4 units. So if you add them up, you get 8. In the middle is, if you add them up, you get 6 add on -2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So 2 is in the middle. There's 8 spaces between here and here. So if there's 8 spaces between 6 and -2, then half of that is 4. So 4 down gives you 2, 4 down gives you -2. So the sinusoidal axis is y equals 2. And again, doing it this way, you can do the average. It's the average of the maximum value and the minimum value divided by 2. So the average, the maximum is 6, add on -2 divided by 2. And that's a 4 divided by 2, 2. So the sinusoidal axis again is y equals 2. Because the sinusoidal axis is halfway between the maximum value and the minimum value. So that's going over the maximum, minimum value, the domain, and the range. And again, the domain of a sinusoidal function is all reals. But the range is between all points between the min and the max, including the min and the max. And if you like my video, you can click on the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click on the subscribe button. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video was of some help to you. Bye-bye.